Okay, so now I'm going to talk about the equipment that we're using. So I say we should all, as I said before, we should start with percussion, whatever instrument you play, because you have this wonderful bounce feeling when you play percussion, and that's a natural rhythm. That's a natural rhythm that the drumstick has very natural way of playing, and then you want the most percussive sound you can have. So I'm not playing a drum pad. Here's a drum pad. That's although it's a nice sound, it's not quite precise enough for what we are doing here. So and the best thing that I found is hitting a stone. You can also try. If you've got a drum kit, you could try hitting the rim of one of your drums, perhaps, and you can try a stick hit or claves. I actually think hitting a stone is perhaps in some ways the best of all. But whenever some very precise sound, and then on the computer or on your metronome or whatever it is you have, then you want the most precise sound you have there. You also want to have a dry sound with the absolute minimum of reverb, if you possibly can. And so here I've got this, if I can bring it up, I've got it on, I'm running it I'm using contacts, let's bring it up if I can. I'm using contacts Studio Drummer for this. Yeah, bring that over. And I've got set to bold and dry, so I know quite a few people use this, so if you use that, then bold and dry is an option there. And I'm using the stick hit, which is the best I could find there in terms of a clear, precise sound on the metronome. And by the way, if any of you want a way of playing a VST-Is on your computer, I use Cantabile Solo, because I don't need for what I do myself, I don't need all the full DAW like Sonar or whatever. And this is a very nice stripped down simple thing if that's all you want to do, is to play instruments, for instance, from bounce metronome. Then you can, and for instance there's Drum Core Free, which is completely free, and there's a free version of this Cantabile. And if you load the VSTI and Cantabiles on Windows, then you can run Drum Core Free or Contact Studio Drum or whatever, if you haven't got a DAW already. I just thought I'd mention that. But anyway, I've got set to very dry acoustic there, and I've set it to the most dry acoustic as I can. So no reverb, and we'll see why that is later on. And one other thing, right, and if you use the sounds that come with Windows, that's then another choice you can use is the clave sound, so that's a good sound also on the computer. Then now bounce metronome, I've already mentioned this wonderful bounce sense. That percussion has that, so it's good to use bounce metronome as well if you've got it, or indeed to get it for this, because of this bounce action on the screen as well. So if I set it going, I'm off contact, if I go to bounce metronome, set it going. Now if I just follow this visual bounce on the screen, then I'm already pretty much in the pocket just by following the bounce. It's also very relaxed. So that's going to get you in a good way of the way towards where we're headed. And just one thing I want to point out with bounce metronome. Right, so bounce metronome, you can get it from bouncemetronome.com, and what you download there, and when you install it, then it is a commercial program, so there's a commercial version of it, and so when you first run it, you will get this window comes up where you can go to buy it. And so I just wanted to point out that that many people use it just as the free taster, So if you're using it as a free taster, then when this window comes up, you'll find a couple of checkboxes. Be sure to uncheck those. So there's one for showing that window itself, and there's the other for the buy buttons. So if you're using it as a free taster and you don't want to buy it, you don't want to buy it right away, then uncheck those two buttons, and then you're in the free taster. And another thing to say when you're in bounce once you're in bounce metronome, then if you go to the bounce options window, now this is if you've got the sounds that come with Windows. So it's something called the Microsoft GS Wavetable synth, and this is it's absolutely fine for your for a metronome. It's got decent sounds. It's precise. It plays the timing precisely. It's also it never loses a beat, even if you play extremely fast rhythms. So fast it turns into a sound, into a pitch even, and it doesn't start dropping beats. So it's very good in that respect. But the one thing about it is that it's an ancient synth that Microsoft licensed from Roland in the 1990s, and it simply hasn't been changed since then. It's the same synth is also the basis for QuickTime on the Mac, although that it's not exactly the same, but it's also licensed from Roland and basically the same sound set. And so this synth, it has an absolutely massive latency, the Windows version has. It's on many machines, not on all, but on many computers, it has a massive amount of latency. It has latency is like an echo. When you play the sound, and then it's delayed like an echo, so it's like that's a bird tapping at my feeder, if you hear these taps in the background. Anyway, so the metronome, you play the sound and the tap, and the sound comes a little bit later after you play it. This sets the sound out of sync with the visuals. So the amount of delay on many computers is between a tenth and a fifth of a second, which is absolutely massive by modern standards. So just be sure to go to if that happens, if you find the visuals aren't precisely in time with the sound, do just go to this bounce options window and switch on set bounce synchronization delay, and there are instructions there as to how to proceed. So that was it. Now, oh yes, and I must say, unfortunately, bounce is for Windows only. It does run on these little netbook things. So let's get it. If you've got one of these things, these little netbooks, then you can run bounce on these, because they generally have Windows 7 starter these days. It should also run on Windows 8, but it doesn't. But not on Windows RT. It won't run on Windows RT once that's available, and it doesn't run on Android, iPad, Mac or Linux, any of these, unfortunately. So I have plans to develop some version of bounce, and I really wish I could do it right now, but it's the way it's written, the code is intricately, it is continuously calling routines that are in the Windows DLLs. It's calling routines that are involved in the Windows operating system all the way through the program, and it's also being called by the operating system all the way through. And there's just no way that I can make that work on a Mac or Linux operating systems as it is. So I have to develop a new version from scratch. So I will be doing some version of bounce if I can. I'm going to investigate that, but it's certainly not available at the moment on any other platform. But what I can provide are the videos. So you'll find a lot of videos on the Robert Inventor channel. I continually add new videos every week. Most weeks I'm adding new videos there, and so you can use those instead. and do ask me if you have particular rhythms that you would like to see on the Robert Inventor YouTube channel. And so that was it about equipment. I thought I'd keep this separate so that you only need to watch it once, as it were, if you do feel you want to rewatch some of this again. And I will now go on to the next stage of the metronome technique, the extreme precision level of playing, practicing in time with the metronome. Let's say we've got a little polyrhythmic quartet, I think it is, in the background. Oh no, I'm not sure. But anyway, I hope you can live with that. So, on to the next rhythm, next session in a moment or two.